Yeah, it was it was a shock for us. I mean, when I heard yesterday, it couldn't sink in. I think
When Ozzy says he's got a Parkinsonian tremor, he does, and he was born with the Park2 gene, which is, it's the best one.
it can't be. I only had a text off him the day before. It just seemed unreal, you know, because it's too much.
Ozzy Osbourne died. Tony Iommi went silent, and then the truth that had been suppressed for so long exploded. Text off about some of the songs, but so many songs he came up with. I don't think we would have been able to do all of them. Not everyone was ready to hear it, but this morning Tony officially confirmed what had been denied, hidden, and avoided. The relationship between the two men, which had been considered legendary, turned out to be nothing like what was touted. We dabbled in it in the early days because we were young and, you're inquisitive, really. With a single post, Tony silenced the entire music industry. No one expected him to choose to announce it right after Ozzy's death. It was all said for the first time and for the last time. Yeah. And it built his way up into this, 'cause we all used to go through these stages when we were doing the blues thing. In a statement posted this morning, Tony confirmed that his relationship with Ozzy had been on hiatus since the beginning of the year. We no longer communicate as we used to. Everything about the show is handled through assistants and representatives. Information is going around in circles, Tony wrote. This is the first time he has directly confirmed that the two had broken up communication in the months leading up to the show. Tensions began when the idea of reuniting Black Sabbath was floated by the Villa Park organizers. Tony said he was initially against reuniting with Ozzy, citing concerns over the frontman's health. We put a set list together, and then it really depends on what Ozzy is capable of maintaining. Nonetheless, the final decision was made after a private meeting with Sharon Osbourne, and Tony said, Sharon insisted that Ozzy was fit to perform. I agreed because I respected his wishes, but things didn't go smoothly after that. One of the most obvious points of contention occurred during a private rehearsal in London about a month before the concert. According to insiders, Tony left the room after just 2 songs and never returned. When asked about the incident, Tony confirmed, I didn't feel the musical connection between us at that point. Tony said he had not received any personal calls from Ozzy since the rehearsal. I don't blame him, but I don't know if he wants to talk to me anymore, he said. Tony also confirmed that the requirements put forth by Ozzy's side before the concert made the preparations lengthy and inconsistent. Adjustments to lighting, monitors, and stage spacing were difficult for the entire band. We had to organize everything to make sure he didn't get stressed. But in the process, there were emotional boundaries that were broken. Tony wrote, the communication breakdown was also evident in the lack of any private conversation on the final day of rehearsal. There were no private meetings, no social greetings, no handshakes to close the gap. Everyone felt the distance between us. It was there, and no one had to say it, Tony confirmed. Before the show, there was internal information that Tony proposed to withdraw his name from the main artist list and transfer his performance position to a supporting band. Nonetheless, this proposal was not accepted. Tony did not deny, I used to think that it was better for me to stand aside, but I also understand that some responsibilities cannot be refused. When asked why Tony wasn't seen backstage with Ozzy that night, his explanation was succinct. I left the stadium right after the end. That was enough. Ozzy Osbourne spent the last years of his life maintaining his voice and stage presence despite his deteriorating health. Medical reports released by his family revealed that he had spent years with progressive neurological, circulatory, and motor problems. Nonetheless, all performance plans continued as scheduled. According to his personal assistant, Ozzy required almost daily vocal training even when his body was experiencing post-operative complications. His primary care physicians confirmed that he had difficulty maintaining his physical strength, but he had never refused any preparation for major performances. The treatment focused on maintaining respiratory capacity, vocal cord endurance, and neuromuscular stability. Before the Villa Park concert was announced, Ozzy had been undergoing a lengthy medical intervention that included several short hospital stays. According to internal medical management documents, his recovery rate had been poorer after each treatment, especially after a number of bone and circulatory infections. Nonetheless, he did not propose to adjust the tour schedule but instead requested more specialized rehearsal time. The sound engineer in charge of the practice room confirmed that Ozzy requested an upgrade to the background music equipment and a change in the lighting layout to reduce the pressure on his neck from direct light exposure. These were technical adjustments that first appeared in his performing career, reflecting the direct impact of his health condition. Recordings from closed-door rehearsals at the venue show that Ozzy's vocals were not as stable as they had been in the past. Nonetheless, he still performed the main parts of the performance in full, with the technical team providing backing vocals. More complex melodies were handled by changing the notes without affecting the original song. During rehearsals, all technical staff were required to adhere to a strict time system proposed by Ozzy himself. The schedule continued for over 2 weeks, including long sound rehearsals and high-frequency editing sessions to ensure that the speakers, mics, and lighting systems were kept stable, minimizing physical impact on the main artist. An internal document from the Villa Park stage management team noted a physical incident with Ozzy 3 days before the concert. Medical data showed that his blood pressure and blood oxygen levels had fluctuated sharply after a prolonged period of concentration. After being monitored, his condition returned to normal, but the on-call doctor recommended that the performance duration be reduced below the original threshold. This recommendation was not amended. Backstage coordinators provided more information about the final rehearsal before the concert. Medical support systems were installed in the private waiting room, with a doctor on duty in the quick-access area. All technical conditions were checked 3 times on the day of the show to avoid any risk. According to the scheduler, Ozzy requested that no details of the original sound script be changed, even when his physical condition was at its limit. His decision to continue performing as planned was the main reason why the technical department had to reinforce the entire sound system at the stadium to minimize errors in volume and signal delay. The details just mentioned clearly established that Ozzy did not abandon any professional responsibilities until the very end. The way he maintained discipline, organized his work, and endured physical pressure at a level that exceeded the standard fully reflected a period of intense work with an emphasis on absolute professionalism. This also served as the basis for the Villa Park concert to become the last performance under the strictest technical control conditions of Black Sabbath to date. The last moment together. The performance at Villa Park was conceived as a special event beyond the usual commercial or celebratory framework. According to the organizing documents, the entire stage structure, set list, and coordination schedule between departments were individually adjusted according to the direction of the central technical team under the direct supervision of the band's representative. Information confirmed by backstage management showed that the operating procedures at Villa Park were completely separate from previous production standard. Prior to the announcement of the program content, confidentiality terms were established with all participating personnel. The official artist list remained unchanged since the time of the final contract signing. Requests from artists' representatives were approved through a separate control group instead of going through the event organizer. According to internal coordination records, this was a rare case where the entire control of the program was transferred to the artist team, with the reason being to ensure that the performance conditions did not affect health and internal processes. Some of the technical features implemented included a separate path between the backstage area and the central performance area, complete separation of the main performers on stage, and a dual sound system for the 2 opposing areas. This separate sound structure was custom-made, allowing for the level of technical support to be adjusted without affecting the overall mix. This was done to meet the individual standards of each member, as confirmed by the event's chief engineer. The set list remained the same as the original, but the breaks between acts were longer than the specified time. The reason stated in the logistics report was to ensure that the sound check process and the tolerance level of the broadcasting system were not exceeded. The parameters for lighting, projection screens, and background signals were also programmed independently, not integrated as in previous events. The internal working structure of the band members was organized into two separate executive teams, operated through a central coordinator. Event personnel records clearly showed that no coordinated decisions were made directly between the members. All technical adjustments or changes to the performance schedule went through the General Technical Coordination Team before being communicated back. This was a method that was noted to be particularly complex but was maintained throughout the show without significant disruption. Some new audio equipment was installed for the first time to cater to the individual requirements of each artist. Individual noise filters were deployed for each mic channel, while sensors were added to monitor the temperature and humidity in the center stage area. The operations team confirmed that continuous biosignal monitoring of the stage area throughout the entire performance was a specific request from the band representative. The program was divided into alternating performances with no exchanges or speeches, no interactions outside of the music. This is clearly shown in the performance time allocation, in which the entire program was organized continuously in order with no intermediary sections designed beyond the original musical structure. All safety checks and assessments were carried out at the highest level in collaboration with the in-house technical team and event medical representative. Data from a dedicated monitoring system confirmed that the physical exertion of the main artist during the performance was at its highest level in the last 3 years. Sound endurance and lighting parameters were adjusted according to individual tolerance levels to ensure the show ran smoothly. After the show ended, the final report from the coordination team noted that the production team members did not organize any internal summary activities. There were no scheduled team meetings, no post-show discussions, and no post-production content was required to be produced. The recorded video and audio data were handed over to the legal representative without going through the usual post-production review process in the studio. The organizational structure, the coordination mechanism, and the way of operating at Villa Park shaped a final milestone. The show went according to plan, but within a tightly controlled framework with a highly individualized way of operating. These factors showed that the performance had completely broken away from the group identity, marking a clear separation within the band at the last moment. We're together. The day Tony Iommi lost his brother. Ozzy Osbourne's death was officially confirmed on the morning of July 22. According to documents released by the family representative, the time of death was determined in the early morning after being in stable condition for a few hours. The cause of death has not been detailed, but health indicators closely monitored in the last days showed that his circulatory and respiratory systems were working poorly for a long time. Tony Iommi received a notification from his personal assistant that morning. Data from his work schedule showed that all work-related activities were suspended immediately. Tony's legal representative confirmed that he had requested to stop receiving public and internal information for an indefinite period of time. According to the content released this morning, Tony did not make any public statements for more than 30 hours after Ozzy's death. This is the longest period of silence he has kept on an event related to a band member. In the official message released after this time, he wrote, "Everything that has happened, every right, every wrong, is no longer capable of explanation. From today, Ozzy will forever be an irrevocable part of my memory." Prior to the release of the message, a number of private messages were sent to Tony from Ozzy's family, including a message from Sharon Osbourne and the band's publicist. One note authenticated by Tony's management office read, "He passed away peacefully with all the love he had for you. Tony confirms that he was completely unable to complete any writing during the time of publication. The first draft was discarded, not edited or archived. The version released publicly this morning is the only result of a continuous self-editing process without the use of a media consultant. Tony Iommi's message did not include any technical details about Ozzy's final years, nor did it mention any specific personal milestones. He adopted a formal direct tone emphasizing legacy and closure. Among the most widely quoted lines this morning was, "There is nothing left to correct. There is nothing left to apologize for." Prior to July 22, Tony had not publicly confirmed the status of his relationship with Ozzy since the Villa Park concert. Nonetheless, administrative data from his July schedule shows that no personal events were scheduled after the concert. According to analysis from the event coordination team, it is likely that he anticipated the deterioration of Ozzy's condition based on the health update system maintained among the support team. It has been confirmed that Tony will not attend any of the band's internal funeral meetings. The private funeral schedule has not been officially announced. Nonetheless, internal documents confirm that Tony will not attend public activities related to the funeral. This decision was explained by his media representative as personal reasons completely unrelated to the old conflict. In his final message released this morning, Tony wrote, "I need some peace and Ozzy deserves some, too." This is the final line that is considered a direct confirmation that he will not continue to share any more information related to Ozzy's final stages of life. Thereby, he officially closed all personal interventions in the post-media handling process. The irregular legacy of this friendship. The relationship between Tony Iommi and Ozzy Osbourne was part of the foundational structure that shaped Black Sabbath's early identity. Records from internal label releases show that the two individuals were directly involved in the entire core creative process during the group's formative years, from selecting mixes, establishing themes, and deciding on the sonic direction. Internal memos circulated among sound engineers clearly reflect Tony's role as the defining structural force, while Ozzy's role was to establish the emotional core. At the time of the first album, the two artists were tied to two separate creative areas, but operated on a direct content addition model. These functional intersections are the reason why the duo formed a stable collaboration mechanism, maintaining the ability to balance market pressure and professional direction. According to analysis of copyright documents, most of the iconic compositions bear Tony's technical mark and Ozzy's independent expression without undergoing collective post-production adjustment. Records from the studio collaborations during their peak confirmed that Tony and Ozzy maintained a principle of non-inference in each other's creative processes, but agreed to a direct form of feedback. This operating structure created a working pattern that continued into the group's final years. The stability of the two individuals' functions and their separate creative scopes were the factors that helped the duo maintain their performance over many years, but personnel changes and technical fluctuations as they expand their off-studio performances. Event organizers have identified Tony and Ozzy as a priority in their stage resource allocation plans. Shows featuring both artists are listed as key events overseen by the National Music Regulatory Agency. Recording Studios operating data shows that online and on-site audience tracking indexes have seen their highest growth in 3 consecutive years when both artists are performing together. According to several of his production partners in the visual media industry, Tony has turned down many offers to reunite as Black Sabbath without Ozzy's direct involvement. Several potential projects were scrapped in the pre-production phase as Tony had a firm rule regarding the lineup. This decision led to the postponement or cancellation of many commercial plans, but he stuck to it until the very end. Market analysts noted that Tony's decision to end all his concert and production plans after Ozzy's departure was a sign that he considered this a non-negotiable ending. In a press release issued at the same time as the release of his personal statement, Tony's representative confirmed that he would not be involved in any future musical projects under the Black Sabbath name. Additional information from the financial coordination team shows that Tony has requested the establishment of a music support fund in the name of Ozzy Osbourne, of which he is the legal guardian. The fund is aimed at providing support to older artists who are having difficulty maintaining their professional activities. Legal procedures related to the establishment of the fund are being carried out through a London-based law firm, with initial funding coming from a portion of the revenue generated from Tony and Ozzy's joint projects during the partnership period. In addition to establishing the fund, Tony also sent a request to transfer a portion of the unreleased audio material to the National Art Archive. These materials will be kept confidential and classified according to heritage standards, not for commercial use. The transfer is considered the final step in the process of closing the professional collaboration file between the two. Ozzy Osbourne has left the stage forever, and Tony Iommi has chosen to close the final chapter with clarity, finality, and respect. No more reunion plans, no more shared stages, no more hope for another final performance. Just the legacy intact, complete, and unaltered. If you think this story is worth preserving, please share the video so more people can look back at the journey that Ozzy and Tony have been on. Subscribe to the channel to continue following in-depth analysis like this. And if you have something to say, the comments section is always open for you to join in. Thank you for watching until the end.